What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. I, of course, am Luke, Bond's Apartment. Today we're going to start a new series called Exploring Micro Brands. And we're going to start with Atelier Jalaper. Thank you guys for joining another video. Be sure to like and subscribe. As I said, we're starting a new series called Exploring Micro Brands, where we're going to look into different watch micro brands. Hopefully, by the grace of God, I can get somebody to send me some so I don't have to buy them all, but we're going to do it anyways. So maybe I'll buy some. If I'm lucky, I'll get sent some. I'm looking at you, whoever. But that's okay. I actually like supporting the micro brands. I actually got this kind of idea from a recent video from Mr. Teddy Baldessar featuring Kevin O'Leary from Shark Tank. I just kind of wanted to start highlighting these brands like he did. I thought it was a really, really cool idea. Yeah, we're gonna start with Atelier Jalaper. So this is a French company. They've got an office in Denmark. The watches are made, or I should say assembled, in Switzerland. Japanese Miyota movement. And let's just get into a little more detail about these watches, shall we? And then we'll do an unboxing as well. And what I want to do is I'm going to grade 1 through 10 on 3 things. So we'll do the watch itself, the packaging, and then we'll do a grade on the overall collection. You know, how many watches does this brand have? Types, is it diver, chronograph, quartz, automatic, whatever the case may be. So those 3 things, 1 out of 10. So let's start with a little history in Atelier Jalaper. So in 2019, Atelier Jalaper began conceptualizing the idea of creating a watch with the dial made from the bonnet or hood of an Aston Martin DB5, specifically 1963 through 1965, when only 1,021 of these DB5s were created. By 2020, the production came to an end and they were finally able to launch these Aston Martin DB5 watches. Of course, there is an homage to James Bond in these watches. It's not specifically said on the website for obvious copyright reasons, but they do hint at the fact that this is inspired by a very famous British spy. The watch itself comes in 4 different styles. Technically 2 different styles, but there's 4 different pieces. So you've got a stainless steel with just the date. You've got black PVD, with just the date. And then you've got a stainless steel as well as a black PVD with both the day and the date. So I actually have the black PVD with both day and date. So that is the AJ002-B, day and date. The movement is an automatic Miyota 8285. Functions, hours, minutes, center second, date, and day, quick set. This movement is actually discontinued. The dial, as I said, which is the key piece of this watch and what makes Atelier Jalaper so unique, is entirely made out of an authentic Aston Martin DB5's bonnet. When I had the pleasure of interviewing Simon, one of the founders of this brand, on a podcast, our podcast called Blunt Instruments Podcast, he actually went into detail about how difficult it's been, to no surprise, of hunting down these bonnets, calling different repair shops, different collectors all over Europe, trying to find these bonnets, and then of course getting a good deal, and then eventually turning them into dials. What's very cool about these dials is each dial is finished, but not overly finished, so each dial is unique in itself. So if you were to take 2 of these day-date watches, they would not look exactly the same in the dial. Another interesting piece is the guillage at the 6 and 12 markers is also inspired by the grille of the DB5. And of course, the typography along the dial refers to the legendary speedometer itself. The price point on the watch, at least for this one in particular, is around 1,200 US. And they go as low as 800 euro, a little under 900 US. That's with just the date. What I like most about this, aside from the dial itself, is that black PVD, that scratch-proof PVD. I don't have any other watches with black cases. So this one, when I wear it with that black strap, is very, very unique. Let's take a look at the packaging. We'll do a little unboxing. We'll see what the packaging looks like, the watch itself, and then we'll get through our grades on our three main things: watch, packaging, and the brand itself, their collection. Starting the unboxing, you've got a very large box, which personally I love. I'm struggling with getting this centered. I don't know why, but maybe that because the box isn't square. I don't know. Whatever. So you got a very large box. You open this up with like the little magnetic clips, and the first thing you see is a very, very well made, very like cardstock thick pamphlet specifically for the AJ002-B. So this is specifically for the watch that I ordered, okay? Or I bought, I should say. So you open it up, see the Aston Martin there, the gentleman's wearing the watch on the wrist. Then you pop it open, and it's basically got Atelier Jalaper story, a legend on your wrist, Belgian and Swiss collaboration, continued, gives you some info on the dial, the movement, the case. It shows you the collection of the 4 straps that they offer with this watch. I believe I have this one here, and then the one that it actually came with, which is very racing strap, if you ask me. Very like Tag Heuer, Formula One-esque. So this gives you all the instructions for setting the time, setting the day and date. Then lastly, more know-how, they call it. But this is basically just explaining how they actually transformed the bonnet into the dial. And then finally, the actual assembly of the watch here. So very cool touch. And then on the back, you've actually got Louis and Simon, a little thank you and information from them with their signatures. Simon, this one here is the one that I've had the pleasure of speaking to. So that's very cool as well. So I've reassembled this as best I can. I've had this watch for a couple years now. Can't really remember how it was packaged, but you've got a very, very nice travel case, which is always a welcome addition. And it's very like racing, you know, black leather with the red striping. Very, very cool. So that's got the Atelier Jalaper logo on it, and it's one of the travel cases that actually comes out, which makes this way easier for putting specific types of watches in there. So you got that, which I'll repeat, I am a sucker for this. And to get all of these things when you purchase the watch is, from what I understand, pretty unheard of with other brands. So there's that. Next, you've actually got the authentication card, I believe, certificate of authentication with this nice little card holder, which is pretty cool. I'm a sucker for this type of stuff. I love packaging. I love little knickknacks that are included. It's like a nice red leather. Maybe it's fake leather. I don't think so. No, it's real leather. Definitely smells like real leather. So yeah, another cool piece that it comes with. Kind of reminds me of, you know, Omega or Rolex, something like that. Probably not something you see very often with micro brands as well. And lastly, technically no, not last. You've got this other strap. This one's kind of like a leather, like what would that be, like alligator type, which for me, nice to have that included, but it, you know, when you see the strap that it comes with, that's with it being kind of like an homage racing piece, that's the only strap in my opinion. But nice touch. And then lastly, we'll scoot this out of here and we'll actually open up the watch itself. Another nice touch, a really nice case. Obviously, being a James Bond channel, I'm very partial to Omega, so this kind of reminds me of some of the Omega. I mean, Omega's got wooden boxes, they've had leather boxes, they've had cardboard, they've done it all. This reminds me of kind of the red ones they've done in the past, and I think they are still kind of doing those. But there's the watch itself. Beautifully packaged, all black with like a nice matte black finish. Look at that. The time and date is set. It's like I've been wearing it. I have. One thing I'll show you, the logo right when you open it up, Atelier Jalaper. And I gotta say, I hope I'm pronouncing this correct because I've said it a couple 100,000 times in this video. So this comes out just in case you wanna, I don't know, hide something in there. But I mean, it's a very well-built insert. I've gotten watches from other brands where this itself, it's like you start to pull this up and you can hear like glue ripping, and it's very well built. It looks very nice. They put a lot of effort into this. So let's dive into the watch itself. Again, the AJ002-B. This is technically the higher end of the DB5 collection. I like this black cushion that it sits on too, also very nice. So, there you go. Let's slide this down real quick here. And if you can hear somebody painting outside, the timing is just impeccable. The Miyota movement, automatic. Specific to this Miyota movement is that inclusion of the actual day, and it's the full day. It's not an abbreviated day. You can see the dial way resembles the Aston Martin DB5 speedometer. Of course, as I said here, with the guillage, the Aston Martin grille, and then of course, the main event, the actual Aston Martin bonnet for the dial. And in the back, which I really enjoy, see-through case back. I always, always, always love that. You will never, ever see me complain about a see-through case back. See if I can get you a nice little look here. But everything's that black PVD, and I've had this, as I've said now, for probably 2 years, maybe even more, and there's not a scratch on it. And I do wear it often, not all the time, but definitely often enough to where it could have some scratches, and it doesn't. Another thing I wanted to highlight, and I pointed out, is that strap. So now that you're looking at the watch, and you know what the watch is all about, you got to admit, this very like racing-esque strap is definitely the one for this watch. And they do have the strap with the bigger holes, also very similar to some previous Formula One type watches, but this one has stayed on here since I've gotten it, and I haven't taken it off. Get a quick on the wrist shot here. Very light. I like that a lot too. I will say the strap seems a little, not the leather itself. I like how flexible the leather is, and I like the way it fits, but the strap's like a little, maybe a little cheap. I'd say more so the buckle than anything. There you go. The Atelier Jalaper AJ002-B. So for the watch grades, we'll grade the watch itself at an 8. I probably could do like 8 point something, but it just gets confusing. I'll give it an 8 for a couple reasons. Number one, the Aston Martin piece is just fantastic. It's an incredibly cool touch. It's very well thought out and designed. To have a piece of an Aston Martin on your wrist is incredibly cool. And then of course, the James Bond tie-in for me is huge. So I'll give the watch itself an 8. The packaging, I will give a strong, I guess I am gonna do some points here. I'll give this like a 9.5. You get this big box. Honestly, for some reason to me, the bigger the box, the better. I love that. And then you've got, of course, the actual pamphlet here that's very well made, specific to the watch that you bought. And then along with the actual watch case, the travel case, there's an extra strap in there, the red kind of card holder for the warranty card and authentication card. It's nice. So I'll give that a strong 9.5. Now lastly, Atelier Jalaper itself, specifically their collection. So right now they're still growing. They've made 2 different types of watches in I think 2.5 years, 3 years. So you've got the Aston Martin DB5 and then they actually have a Lamborghini Miura. That's their newest one. That's the one that they're really, really pushing right now. Dissimilar to the Aston Martin, they're all the same movement. It's more so just different colorways. So with that one said, and they're a little more money, these are 1,800 euros, so you're talking around 2 grand United States dollar. I would say that their collection is lacking a little, but that's okay because it's still a growing brand. It's a small micro brand. I will give their collection, I'll give it like a 7 because it's very unique. It's very thought out. They're doing it properly. The difference between the Miura and the DB5 is substantial. They do not look alike in any way, shape, or form. So with that, I'll give it a 7. So you've got an 8 for the watch, a 9.5, a strong 9.5 for the packaging, and a 7 for the overall collection, the diversity in the collection. Thank you guys for watching. That was the first episode. Do me a favor, comment below on micro brands you think I should reach out to, try to work with, try to purchase, review. Any ideas you have, I'm more than happy. I actually technically have another one that I can do that's very different than most. But after that second episode, we got to start either buying some or getting some somehow. So comment below, let me know what you think. Thank you again for watching. Catch you on the next one.